we do now have a whole list of anti-Zionist libels. I mean, there are the typical ones that we hear all the time, that the Jewish nation is a uniquely genocidal nation, it's an apartheid regime, it's very murderous, it's, you know, this kind of, it's very bloodthirsty. We hear that about the Jewish state all the time. And then there are these individual libels, anti-Zionist libels, for example, that the IDF intentionally kills children, possibly even gets a kick from killing children. The latest one, I can't even believe we have to use words like this, but the latest one is the dog rape libel, which has been promoted in the fringe media in the UK, but has now been published even in a column in the New York Times. This idea that the IDF trains dogs to rape Palestinian prisoners, and that's taken as good coin by people all across the internet, and it's used as evidence that this is a uniquely demonic state.
One journalist said he had been held down and raped by a dog, a claim backed by other accounts from prisoners who report they underwent the same thing.
Israel, of course, has committed every war crime and crime against humanity that it's possible to commit. What we're discussing here is sexual violence, including rape, and including rape using dogs. I'm sorry again that we have to talk about this. We do have to talk about this.
I mean, those anti-Zionist libels are very particular to this moment, but they do echo past barbarous lies. What do you think is motoring those libels? And following on from your recent book, which is your handbook for how to deal with this kind of stuff, how do we tackle anti-Zionist libels?
Well, the first thing I would say is that what these libels show me is that the skin of civilization is not only very thin, but has ripped completely. And what we're looking at is primitivism. We're looking at pre-modernity. We're looking at things that were believed by people who did not have modern education, who believed in superstitious mumbo-jumbo, who believed in the devil and believed that people were devilish. These libels that are coming out today appended to Israel, Israel is a nation of, or the idea, the Israel Defense Forces are baby killers. And I mean, I've had it to my face. You Jews are baby killers. I mean, lots of Jews are getting this the whole time. Now, this is monstrous. It's also ridiculous. It's ludicrous. It's hard to describe quite how out to lunch this all is, except when you look at the past history of anti-Semitism. I'm thinking of the medieval church, when people who believed in devils walking among them believed that the Jews were the devils, and believed that they did kill children for sport and baked their blood in their ritual matzahs, in the unleavened bread used for Passover, this was what came to be called the blood libels, and we hear this today used to describe Israel, which is beyond grotesque. It is absolutely obscene. But the point is this: we hear it used by people who are educated, and who are progressive, who think that they are moral. And this is the real terrible obscenity of the age. Now, where did this come from? Again, this is a very big question. I think there are many rivers that have led into this fetid sewer. But in my view, and I have written this, the single most important factor behind this is the adoption by virtually every progressive person of the Palestine cause, because for decades the Palestinian Arabs, and I'm not talking about the Hamas, I'm not talking about people that are thought to be extreme, I'm talking about people who are thought to be moderate, like the Palestinian Authority. But throughout Palestinian society, throughout the Palestinian Authority's educational materials and its sermons and so on, we find precisely this obscene imagery coming out the whole time, drawing upon medieval Christianity and also the Nazi period and the Soviet Union. All of them, all of these periods and regimes which had a murderous, exterminatory attitude to Jews. That is what the Palestinian cause rests on. It's what it teaches its children, that the Israelis drink Arab blood, drink Muslim blood. And so it's a terrible thing, but it has happened that if you have a culture which has adopted the Palestine cause, not just as a cause representing, the oppressed of the earth and you want to help them and so on, but a cause which has come to define and embody morality itself, conscience itself, then it's not, it is a shocking thing, but it's perhaps not surprising that you use the language of that so-called supposed moral conscience cause, which is the language of murderous extermination and the literal demonization of Jews, not Israelis, Jews, because that's how the Palestinian Arabs talk about Jews. And so you have this really, it's hard to exaggerate how terrible this is. Because the really terrible thing is that, as in the Soviet Union, which exploited all this and brought it on because they knew it would actually fry the Western mind, as with the Soviet Union, the people who are spouting it really don't understand what they're doing. They really believe this is moral. They really believe it's moral to call the Israelis baby killers when the Israeli Defense Forces, as you know, have gone to greater lengths to protect civilian life in the most extraordinarily difficult circumstances in Gaza than any army on earth has ever done. So it is literally putting facts and reality into reverse and producing serial obscenities which are coming out of the mouths of people who purport to be the best of us, who are the people who are moral and decent. So morality itself, conscience in the West, has simply been hijacked and turned into its opposite. And this is, it's like a spiritual plague that has descended upon us. People don't like this kind of language because it sounds religious, but it's very hard to describe it otherwise because it is outside all rationality. That is what's so terrifying.